It was the worst piece of meat that I think I've ever had that was thought to be a ribeye.
Right. This was a bone-in ribeye.
Bone in and bone out. We had two.
Yeah, but it was the bone-in that was the problem. And here's the thing. I had already threw my piece away. I didn't even say anything to him. I was just taking that to my grave because who threw away steak?
I know, right?
But then he came to me and said, I think we just need to toss the rest of them. And I looked at him and then I say, well, good, because I already threw my piece away. But he was talking. How long have we been talking about sous vide?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I think early on we saw Robin, I think.
And we saw somebody else. This next person is the one that just, I was like, ooh, maybe. I know you ain't gonna know.
Wait a minute.
Who?
I don't know.
I said you wasn't gonna know. Didn't make me think you knew. But in the meantime, hi everybody. My name is G Brown. G Brown, the lifestyle changer, and
I'm Freddie Brown, the husband.
And you are hanging with the Browns for review. All right, so we're carnivores. We eat only meat. So
we've been carnivores now for 16 months.
It's 16 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, life-changing. The medical issues gone, really don't see a doctor. It's been great these last 16 months. I'm gonna say 15 months because the first month we trying to figure it out. But here's the thing, I've seen, I want to say his name Ferrigno, but I know that's not it. I just messed his whole name up. Yeah. Who I'm talking about?
I don't know.
Who turned Carrie on to the carnivore? What was his name? You think about it. And then
yeah, think about it.
I'm going to have to cut this part.
Okay.
Because you ain't acting right. But anyway, so that's one of the things I'm like, sous vide. And you just look at it and, okay, so here was my issue. Cooking in water, in a bag. I'm like, it's adding stuff. It's not making sense to me. So, okay, we'll see.
And also the process was long. I thought the process was long. I'm like, normally when we're going to cook, I'm thinking, 20 minutes max.
Yeah, the only long process, of course, is when you smoking. So if you out on the smoker and you letting that slow thing, I understand that. Some days that I would do that as well. But you bought some steaks. Go on, tell us about the steaks.
Well, we found a sale. That was the first issue. That first warning flag, right?
No.
We found a sale, and we thought we'd give it a try. We didn't think there was a such thing as a bad piece of meat.
That's supposed to be ribeye.
Yeah, and got to the point where it was tough. It was chewy. It was the taste was not there. It was the worst piece of meat that I think I've ever had that was thought to be a ribeye.
Right. This was a bone-in ribeye.
Bone in and bone out. We had two.
Yeah, but it was the bone-in that was the problem. And here's the thing. I had already threw my piece away. I didn't even say anything to him. I was just taking that to my grave because who threw away steak?
I know, right?
But then he came to me and said, I think we just need to toss the rest of them. And I looked at him and then I say, well, good, because I already threw my piece away. But he was talking about the ones in the freezer that we just didn't want to be bothered with.
Yeah, I was going to cut my losses.
There you go. But then I told him about an email from this company.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, okay, I tell you what. I'm going to see, because I know I got some bad meat.
Yeah.
Not to taste, but it tough. So let's see what sous vide can do, right?
Yeah.
All right. But then sous vide arrives and it's a box. I take the stuff out. And I'm looking for like turn on punch here, and you just done, and
you don't read instructions. You just
I look at the pictures. I figure I've been doing this for a while. I can get it going, but this one made me have to.
See, everything is not intuitive. For the most part, I think now with technology the way it is, most times things are somewhat intuitive, but there was a lot more to this. We learned there were some other peripheral devices that were actually needed, that didn't come, which to me, I didn't quite understand because I felt like.
Wait, in their defense.
Okay.
Now let me get into their defense.
Okay.
Because I learned this on the back side, not on the front side. Okay, so Robin, you mentioned Robin. Robin said that she uses the insert to her Instapot. I was like, oh, because what you're trying to find is a pot that's straight so it can go down and clamp. The pot I had just a slight little curve to it, not a lot. Put it in and I'm like, will this work? Because I'm dealing with beef, okay, that's not cheap.
Yeah.
So I needed to make sure.
But I'm also thinking that when you're doing something like this, you're dealing with water, you got evaporation issues, especially if you're...
Saran wrap is, I didn't get to that part. So they turn around and they do the saran wrap and all
seal it in?
How to seal it in and all of that. And I'm like, okay, but then what if the plastic gets too... It was a lot. So I did a little more research and found the containers that they can sit into. And I ordered 2. The first one said it'll be here next day. It didn't come. So I got pissed and sent it back. All because, don't lie to me. Then the second one came and that's the one that I used. And then 2 things I liked about this one. One, it had an insulation that you wrapped around it. So your heat didn't evaporate. And then I like that it came with the rack for the inside, because that's another thing. Meat must stay submerged. So I'm learning, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm thinking to myself, who wanna do all of this for some meat?
Yeah, that was pretty extensive, I thought.
And I hadn't even fixed my first piece yet. I'm like, okay, you know what? This a lot. Let's box it and send it back. Box it and send it back. Okay. Well, that didn't happen. But I was determined for that bad steak, right?
At least give it a try.
All right. So things that I found that I needed. I had the sous vide. I now have the container with the lid. I seen people hang the bags off the side, but I preferred the food saver type bags, vacuum seal and seal it. I preferred that. But we already had that. Yeah. But I did buy some different bags. All this stuff will be down in the description. Honey, these are the best bags ever. But okay, I digress. Then, so I needed all of that, and then I needed to figure out what meat and researched my time and how I'm going to cook. Whew! For some steak, for some meat. All right. First thing was, I got my cooking times, I have my meat. Y'all know the first meat that we put in there was them bad steaks. So what I did was I did 2 of the bad steaks and 1 good steak to see. And the first time, I'm gonna put the time and stuff across because I'm working off of memory right now. I wanna say I did 4 hours, but I have it written down. I did 4 hours for the bad steak. And so on that one, you had 2 steaks because I actually gave you a good one and a bad one, and I just had the bad one.
Yeah.
We'll tell you about that one. We're just gonna. So we got to talk about that one. Then I said, let me do some beef ribs, a brisket, more of the bad steaks, and I did smoked turkey wing. Now the beef ribs and the brisket I did for 30 hours. 30 hours.
I haven't even tasted it. You did that and put it away.
I'll tell you about.
She hides food from me, y'all.
You know what? So then I did the brisket, the turkey wings. You did have that, and so now I'm fancy. What I did was I put the ribs and the brisket in, and then they started to cook. Remember, I was like, tell me when 22 hours and all this other stuff, right? And then I added the wings when in actuality, I could have put the wings in at the very beginning, far as I'm concerned, because they were smoked and not just regular. They were still harder. They needed more time to cook. And that's what I used in the broth this morning. I took those with the other and made that into the broth.
Yeah, from the standpoint, I don't think you can even overcook in that thing, can you? You can't overcook.
I think the meat probably just gets softer and softer.
Softer and softer. Yeah,
all right.
but not overcooked to the point where you got to throw it away.
I don't know, and I don't want to find out.
Okay.
I don't know. Did you see them beef ribs? That's one of the reasons why you didn't get it, because when I held it up, I had 4 bones. Everything else was down in the bag. So we're going to see. But the brisket, I'm actually going to take, he's not a fan of brisket, depends on how it's cooked, but I actually wanted to turn that into a snack. I was going to make some crispy bites with those. I'll tell y'all about that later. But I just need to talk about the last set of steaks.
Okay.
This time I did the 1 bad steak. It was the last one. And I did 2 good steaks. That was last night.
Okay.
And then when you cut that, we did that for 8 hours. The meat on the bad steak.
Yeah.
OMG.
Was not expecting that.
I was not expecting that. So, let me wrap up the sous vide for you. I know you've seen some of the footage because I'm trying to show you exactly what it is. Pay attention to the screen times. And here is the end of the review.
Okay.
What you want to add before I get started?
No, I was just going to say that this sous vide, what it did do, it enabled us to salvage what we had left.
That we were going to throw away.
Yeah, that saved me money.
That was going straight into the trash.
Yeah,
we both, I had already threw mine away. He just didn't know it. Now, literally, the flavor, the texture, I just never had meat like that.
I was really impressed.
Very.
I was really impressed. And probably more surprised than anything. You know, I didn't think there was any way we could salvage that meat. You know, even thinking about something cooking that long, if you really think about it, it could go either way. You could overdo it or you could make it extremely tender. And that's what it did. It made that meat extremely tender. It made the meat juicy,
flavorful.
flavorful.
I was so, now that was 8 hours on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't like the texture of the good steak after 8 hours. To me, that was a better 4-hour cook when we did it. Then you kind of went back and forth. You were like, no, they're both good. He liked them both. But for me, when we did the good steak, I liked it at 4 hours. But I want to go find some more bad meat.
I want more bad meat. But
I really would. No. That meat was like $7-something a pound. You got the whole thing, and I got a sous vide.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so here it is.
Reconsider.
Here it is. What are ways that you can do this without spending the additional money? If you already, like you say, have an insert, you can use that. You can hang bags off the side. You can wrap your pot in saran wrap. There are ways of getting around it. But if you just went through with this, that's the best thing. That's sous vide. That's something else. So for me, I listened to one person say, both people worked outside of the home. Like if you start the meat in the morning, how you want it. So I found that if I get up and have the meat on between 7 and 8 a.m., we're ready to eat at 2. And so it's a perfect steak every time. So I think the hardest part is time. That's it.
The preparation, just being prepared. You can't forget about it or forget to do it, and then want to go through that 8-hour process. I like to eat at a certain time, so I think that if you properly prepare, and start it in a timely fashion, it can work for you. And then I think one of the other features that I like, unlike cooking something on the stove, where you really got to keep an eye on it. You just can't walk away from it. With this, the water's not boiling or bubbling over. You got a temperature you're trying to reach, a safe temperature, and it just sits there, and it's like your what's that slow cook thing that you got?
The crock pot.
Crock pot, right? You just let it cook all night. You can just literally let this cook for hours and not have to worry about it.
But let me tell you another plus about that. I don't like the smell of beef lingering in the house. You didn't get that with the sous vide. Everything is sealed. So it was cooking in the bag, not going all around the house.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win. It really is. You just have to get, I know y'all smarter than me. I had to get past the initial, I need more colors and pictures. Just turn around and do, so yeah. Because when you cook for a while and you ain't got time about it. What do you mean read? That's how you open the box, look at the picture, and you figure it out. Y'all, if I would have read, it would have said, hold your finger down until it changes. So for me, I held it. It didn't change. So I was like, I sat there for, look, this was me. Minute to minute, I had to go all the way up to 8 hours, 1 minute at a time, because I did not read the book.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
And here he comes. Gee, all you had to do, la 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 la. I don't want to hear that now. I just sat there and went through all of that.
That's what
right?
That's what
now,
I did with you guys.
One thing that I did do, after cooking for a while in these containers, the container is plastic. So what I found is that my lid kind of lifted off the side. So I just went and got some of those clamps that I have and clamped it down around, because you don't have to worry. The opening where the sous vide fits has room, to escape if there was any steam or anything like that. So it was just perfect.
Okay.
You win.
Yeah, it's a win-win. Definitely.
It's a win-win.
Definitely.
Now, the downside for most people is figuring out what time to put that on and to go. But if you get into that routine, so our routine would literally be, we bring the meat in, I'm already preparing. So you could do one or two things. For the steaks, you can dry them off, salt them, put them in the refrigerator for 24 hours, allow that salt to really go in, and then seal them in the bag. You can write on them if you choose to, but go ahead and seal them in the bag, and then you have it. Or salt them and seal them.
Your steaks weren't frozen, right? You didn't cook them from a frozen steak.
No,
Okay.
you just have to. I think you have to allot a little bit for the time because of it being frozen. I just so happened to sit mine out in the refrigerator. They were all cold. Going in, so I really did.
Both freezing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Refrigerated. Yeah, most definitely. But none were room temperature. You know how sometimes we sit our steak out. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah.
Guess what? There's a link in the description that's going to give you something off of it, the whole 9 yards. Our code is the Hanging with the Browns, HBTB. Hanging W.
With TB. HWTB. Hanging with the Browns.
I promise that's what was in my head. That ain't what came out my mouth. I'm going to have to go back and watch the footage. But in the meantime and in between time, thank you guys. This is a winner. I was frustrated. I was there. Y'all see the footage? But it was worth it.
Yeah, it was. Bye.
Bye-bye. gotta eat. Just put it down. Let me see a piece of the when it's like that.
It's good. And if that's that sour meat, man, this is real good.